Then we'll look at concatenation operator. This is how to join things together. So we'll look at this, and then we'll look at literal character strings. How to introduce literal characters when you query things from the database. I told you about the application, the DBMS, and the database. Now, this application does not see the database. Are you with me? And the database does not see the application. The database is pure. It is incorruptible. But when you are asking for something like we did when we asked, I think in our last class, we were manipulating the table, right? We brought out a column that was not existing in the database. That process, that manipulation process took place in the database management system. Are you with me? So when you say select star from employees, you are actually communicating with the DBMS, database management system. And you are saying, this is what I need. Then the DBMS will now go to the database and say, do you have this table? If yes, give me all this information, all this data. The database will release it to the DBMS. The DBMS will bring those data and then start to work on that your request. It will work on your request, add whatever it is that needs to be added, and then present it to you. Why I'm explaining this because of the class we are having today. You are going to see me introduce literals. You understand? Into our query. So I need you to really follow me so that you can understand what I'm doing. So concatenation operator is this sign. You see one bar. So you have to type it 2 times to give you this double bar. A concatenation operator links columns or character strings to other columns. Is represented by 2 vertical bars, which is what you are seeing. These 2 vertical bars, not the parentheses. These 2 vertical bars, that is the symbol for it. Now, create a resultant column that is character expression. What it means is that after combining these 2 columns together, it will now create a resultant column that is a character expression. If I run this script, I run this one, which is select star from employee. This is everything that is in the employee table, right? Okay. I am saying that this concatenation operator, what it does is that it can join 2 columns or multiple columns together. And it can even equally join a literal. I will say explain literal to you. But let's look at 2 columns. I want to bring out a column that will join this first name and last name. You can see that first name is recorded Stephen and King. But I want to create a column, another column, that will have Stephen and King together in one column. I'm going to do something like this. I will say select, right, first name. I can type it in capital letter too if I want. Select first name. And then I will put that concatenation. That is the concatenation. I put space. Then I put last name. Underscore name. Let me bring out 3 columns. So let me bring out the first name, underscore name, comma, last name, comma, then this one, then this column from, are you with me, employees? Then I terminate. When I run this script, it gave me an error. You see, it gave me an error. If I read my error, I will notice that, okay, I typed wrong thing. I didn't type first. I typed first. So I will go back. This is it. I will correct it. This is it. So now I've corrected it. I will run it again now. Look at what he did. He brought out first name, last name, and then he brought out another column, which is this column. And he combined these 2 names together. Can you see? It combined these 2 names together. But I want to space it. You can see he didn't space it. So I can now put now look at, let me I'm going to remove this one. Are you seeing my screen? When I run this one, when I run this one, look at what it does. You can see that it's combined first name and last name together, and there was no space between them. Can you see that? And now decided to ensure that it is properly written. There should be space between the first name and the last name. I introduced this literal. I will still come to literal for you. I introduced this. That is an empty space. So I am saying concatenate this one to an empty space and then concatenate it to the last name. So if I run this one, you will notice that there is a space between them. Okay, I can still bring this. Let me show you. Let me bring this to one row. I can come here, put this one, and paste it here. So remove this one. Delete this. If I run this, now can you see it? Hello, are you with me? Now look at what happened here. In this one, there is no space between the first name and the last name. While in this one, it is properly written. There is space between the first name and the last name. Are you with me? You will agree with me that when you run the database, when you run this query like this, when you run it, this one, there is no such column in this table. Can you see it? There is no such column. There is no column that is carrying both the first name and the last name together. There is no such column. Now, this is the real way it is in the database, but this is how I want it. So this manipulation is done in the database management system. That is my point. Are you with me? So if I run this script now, it's going to look at what it's going to give me. It's going to give me how many columns? 1, 2, 3, 4. This third one and this fourth one were manipulated columns by me, done in the database management system. They don't exist in the database like that. So you can see that by introducing this concatenate, I was able to combine two columns together. By introducing this thing inside here, it's called a literal. So for every row that is brought, this literal will be introduced, which means this space will be introduced. It will be spacing each of them like that. You can see the space is coming. So this thing that I did brings me to my next class. Before I do that, I can, if I use alias, I can rename these columns as, I can rename this one as just name. Now, the same way I spoke that English now, renaming it as, that as is a keyword also in SQL. So you can introduce it in to make it interesting. Instead of me just writing name, I can say, I will introduce the as keyword. You see, it's in blue, meaning it's a keyword as name. So if I run this script again, you can see that that particular column has been changed to name. Can you see that? So the same way I spoke the English, that I said, I am going to replace this column. I'm going to replace this as name. I brought it into here. This as is a keyword. As is a keyword in SQL. So it's just to make the thing readable. If I don't put the as, if I remove this as, my script will still run. And it will still give me this name. If I run it, can you see? It still gave me the same thing. It didn't give me error. So, but just to make it readable, I put the as. So while this one, I can decide to give it another name. I'll put it full name. You see that I didn't put as there. It's still going to run. Can you see? It changed this one to name and it changed this one to full name. The next thing is we move to literal characters. Do you see this? Literal character strings. Now, a literal is a character, a number, or a date that is included in the select statement. Date and character literal values must be enclosed within single quotation marks. Each character string is output once for each row return. I will explain what all that grammar mean. I've used the character literal here. I've used it here. But I'm actually going to use it separately for you to see. Now, if I say, example, if I say select first name, right? Are you with me? Okay. I will put that here. I'll pick because I want to bring out 3 columns. First name, then job ID, job underscore ID, right? Comma. Then we will now have that last column that will say Stephen is a president. So that one will now say first name, right? First underscore name. Then we will now bring in the concatenate. You will bring that concatenate. Can you see it? Now we want to join. We want to join 2 columns. But we are going to join column and literals together. So I am saying first name, job ID, then we are going to concatenate first name with a literal. So are you listening now? I'm going to put that. One of the rules is that a character literal must be put in a single quotation mark. Single quotation mark is this. That is a single quotation mark. So if you are bringing character literal, that is a character literal because that is character. So you are bringing it in. You have to put it in a single quotation mark. Then I'm going to put space before I type the is. Then the a. Then I'll put space again before I type. So I have put that is a. This is a character literal, right? Then I will put concatenate again. Then I will choose the job ID, which is this one. So job underscore ID. Then I must always bring the from. So from employees. Then I'll put this. This is my script. When I run this, I'm going to have 3 columns. Are you with me, sir? So when I run it, see, it gave me 3 columns. The first one is first name, LN. Second one is job ID, SA rep. Now I am saying LN is a sales rep. This column is never existing in the database. Now look at literal. A literal is a character, a number, or a date that is included in select statement. It was never part of the database. You are including it in the select statement. Date and character literal values must be enclosed within single quotation mark. Each character string is output once for each row. That is what we are seeing here now. This. So I am saying select first name, it gave me. Select job ID, it gave me. These 2 columns are existing in the database. But this last column is not existing in the database. I am now the one that wants this last column to come out. So I am instructing the database management system. I am saying that when you go to the database to pull out this column, first name, and to pull out this second column, job ID, I want you to also give me a third column. But that third column, this is how I want you to present it to me. Present it to me by adding that first name and the job ID together. But in each of them, add this is a to each of them as they are returning. So this is a string literal. So, and the rule of string literal is that if you are bringing in a string literal in the select query, you must enclose it with a single quotation. You have to enclose it with single quotation mark. But if you notice what I did here, I could have written this string literal like this. I could have written it like this. I could have written it as this is a this. Now look at, they are closer. There is no space between the single quotation mark and the is. And there is no space between the single quotation mark and the a. But in this one, there is a space. If I don't put that space, if I remove the space, watch. If I remove the space and I also remove the space of this one, it's going to make it look clumsy. There is not, it's not going to write it well like this. Watch. Can you see? It's putting all of them together. Ellen is a sales rep. Is joining them together. So it will make sense. Look at this one. Sandaris is now showing you as Sandaris as a, so it's not making sense. So to give me that space, I had to separate, move the string literal away from this from the single quotation, and then I have to move the single quotation from this one. So it gave me this. Now when I run it again, this one is proper now. You see, those are just the things you need to understand as you are combining those things together to bring out something from the database. So look at what it has done. So I have a table. Now this table, this column, this column is giving me, is taking the entire thing that is here as the column name. I want to give it another column name. I will say, present it to me as, that would now be as employee info. Employee info. But because I am putting it as two words, I have to put it in double quotation. I have to put it inside double quotation. Otherwise, it will throw me an error. So I put it in double quotation. Now, when I run it, it will change this column name to employee info. Watch. Can you see that? So I'm saying first name, it gave me this, job name, it gave me this, but give me another column that will give me as employee info. So Ellen is a sales rep. Sunda is a sales rep. Now I'm using a combination of concatenation operator and string literal to be able to get out this column.